Berlin from the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board. Realtors are very concerned about the proliferation of marijuana grow-ops and other drug labs because of their negative impact on the quality of life of realtors and their clients. Realtors are required to disclose known grown-op activity. However, under privacy legislation, the police are not permitted to disclose any information about grow-ops or drug labs to a realtor. What action would you take to help our profession to protect the public and address this urgent matter? Thank you. 12 Kevin.
Thanks. We are governed by this freedom of information and privacy thing that sometimes drives me a little bit nuts, but we have some work going on right now with regards to how we can have some of the information that you're talking about flow through to the appropriate people, particularly the hydro information that police now have difficulty getting some of it on. We have two pilot projects going on, one in Surrey, one in Abbotsford, where we're going to test out some things we think can work, and then we're going to be looking at the freedom of information privacy legislation by fall to see if we can make it possible for that information to flow through. Because obviously that's one of the issues in and around the entire issues around grow-ups.
Yeah. I work in the film business. I'm a technician. I see lots of stuff that you don't see. Now, I see the rich play and get away with things you people probably here never thought of. So, I don't like beating up the little people. But I know a lot of people who are aware of what's going on with all the drugs in this community we're in. And it's quite a monster. And I know I'm kind of sitting on the fence in the whole thing. It's where Rich is coming from is one way of looking at it, and he probably thinks that we should do away with it all and we should beat him up and whatever, but I don't think that's the way to go. I really don't. Because if you have one law, it's got to go for everybody. And 20 years ago, a very important person, let me finish this, a very important person in Canada was in Vancouver. And I knew a guy who brought a bunch of stuff into Vancouver from LA. And that person and his friend were smoking the stuff in the West End. So I can't go there. Either legalize it or make it so that it works for the community.
No matter how hard you prepare for a night like this, you just never expect one of these questions. Anyway, luckily, from where I'm sitting, I have the top cop and the top crop, so hopefully they'll give me a little wisdom on this. Rich brings up an issue about the privacy concerns, and he's quite correct, and maybe that's something that we should be revisiting in terms of public safety, and this is a public safety concern. Maybe we have to be talking to people who deal with the legal matters, people who deal with ethics, community members, and find out exactly what our privacy rights should be. But we should keep in mind that there has to be a balance between that and public safety.
Are you sure you understood what he said? Because I didn't get any particular point of view from that comment. But Langley, by the way, in 2004, there were no crystal meth labs found in Langley. So we're only talking about the 126 grow-ups that were found in Langley in 2004. It's a lot, I admit. But you put an ordinary family where someone goes out of work, or some immigrants here that doesn't speak English, and someone offers them a job tending plants, and they get $25,000, $35,000 a year to do so. You're going to find these temptations very difficult for working people, poor people, young people, immigrant people to resist. And the reason they can't resist it is because money is difficult to find, and prohibition makes this money very available to it. Legalize, tax, and regulate. No one grows any legal products commercially in a home. Never happens. You make marijuana legal, we've got huge farms, huge vast acreages, we can grow our marijuana there, solve our problem entirely. What the real estate board is suggesting is that we violate people's civil rights as we already are doing with the drug war, and do so further in order to accomplish this goal. I say let's legalize, regulate, and solve all the problems associated with grow-ups.
Well, I wanted to say our business ended up being across from a grow-up that we weren't even aware of. And I can say as an adjacent business owner, we were quite concerned about it, about the flooding and what could happen. And, you know, I think it's an issue where I think I agree with Marc, is if we were to regulate it and to legalize it, I think it would be somewhere we could control it. I mean, it's similar to alcohol prohibition. It's just not going to go away, and I think it's better to make it something that we can regulate. You know, I don't particularly support use of drugs and a lot of drug use for young people. I think it can be dangerous, but a lot of young people do it, and we have to be somewhat realistic in what we're talking about. So. It's better to know what your kids are doing than what they're not doing. So.
Thank you very much. Marc, you might as well hang on to the microphone if you want. You can go next. This is a written question to all candidates. What are your intentions for seniors assisted or independent living accommodations?
Well, they'll be a lot healthier if they stay at a hospital, so it's certainly a good idea. The leading cause of death in this country, the fourth leading cause of death, is prescription drugs administered by doctors in hospitals, where people, usually seniors, get the wrong drug, the wrong dosage, or the wrong diagnosis. And so the fourth leading killer in this country are largely elderly people getting the wrong drugs. So don't mistake the healthcare industry with good health. You're a lot healthier if you can stay out of hospitals and stay away from doctors. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but in my experience, you look at where the diseases manifest themselves in this country, from SARS, from various bacteria that are killer, they emanate from hospitals. So of course, anything to keep people at home with people who love them will minimize expenses. So obviously, I'm in favor of that, but you have to understand that if we continue to allow an increasingly aging population